Hi friends, welcome back to A Nurse in the Kitchen. As promised last week, I said I was going to start a new series that I'm going to call How to Transform Yourself into a Highly Effective Supervisor or Manager. Again, this is a teaser for my online course that I'm working on. And I wanted to, it's gonna be a challenge for me to keep everything that I want to say in a controlled, concise manner, because you could go on and on about this topic. You can't. It's a little bit difficult to bottle everything you've learned over decades into. But the good thing about the course is that it has chapters, so it's not, you can do it at your own pace. And when we're gonna have exercises, and then when you finish, you get a certificate. Okay, so it cannot be rushed, of course, because especially when you have the exercises, you want to go and practice some of them to see if they work for you. Now, being a manager or a supervisor or being in any type of management position is something that somebody should go into carefully. Sometimes you get picked or it's offered to you as a way to reward you for a job well done, but that necessarily doesn't mean that you are suited for the job. Just because you're doing this job here that you have, you do it well, to assume that you're going to do another job just as well, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes we move into those positions because they're available, and there are some perks attached to them. Probably you're moving up in management, your peers, you're going to attain a certain status. And sometimes, there are monetary rewards, which, it's a good incentive. But I personally don't believe that should be the only reasons you look at to move into a position, because from experience, when you go into those positions, and that's why I'm doing the course, you don't get any training. They just said, here, do it. This is the job description. These are your responsibilities. Now, if you have any question, come get me, right? And sometimes the person who hires you, they sometimes move into a different position. They're not available. So you kind of left to fend for yourself, right? And if you've had, I think a lot of you could be, nodding that that's what happened to you. And it's like, you kind of run with it and learn as you go and do the best job you can. So this course is designed to kind of help you be prepared so that you can do the best job you can, be the best you can. Because remember, everything I'm doing in this season of life is self-improvement related, okay? The first thing, like I said, don't go into the position because it was just offered to you because you did a good job, or it's just something to do. Because a lot, you hear nurses getting burned out after about a year. Being a manager, you may not last that long because it can be that bad. Because in those positions, it doesn't depend just on you and your performance. It depends on who your direct manager, supervisor is, because that can make you or break you. If you have a manager who is supportive, who is kind of wants to be a mentor, a coach, you're going to do well. If you have a manager also who understands that it takes time for you to get to that point where you are performing well, it's going to be good. But how many times did that happen? I think in my career, I've had 2 very good bosses who really were committed to my success. The others have been crummy, and some crummier than others. Some were truly hateful. Listen, I'm just giving it to you straight up because I don't want you to go into a position like this with stars in your eyes. You have to expect that it's going to be challenging. And that's why you're going to learn how to maneuver dealing with your supervisor, dealing with your subordinates. It's kind of a delicate balance, okay? So the first thing you need to find out is, why do I want this job and am I suited for it? Why do I want it? Maybe I want the extra money. That I would, I'm not going to be the one to tell you don't take it. If there is more money and you need the money for yourself, your family, and you're going to grin and bear it, go for it. Go for it. If it's like you're on a career path and you want to, this is a stepstone to something bigger, I say go for it. You may want to take this course. You may want to read books. You may want to listen to podcasts. You may want to get YouTube training. However you do it, take it. But go in there with your eyes open. Don't just go in there and say, oh, they didn't tell me about this. Oh, I didn't think it would be so hard. I'm trying to keep you from getting that kind of remorse. Okay? So find out your why. Definitely your why, because your why is going to determine whether you stick to it or not. Okay? If you need the money, you're probably going to stick to it longer. But with what kind of an attitude? What kind of a frame of mind? If it's just because I need the money. So you're going to have to motivate yourself to develop some other reasons why you're doing this. Okay? Now, the other thing you want to do, and this is the crux of this particular session, is, do I have what it takes to do this job? Can I really do this job? You may say, oh, anyone can do this. I mean, anyone can do it, but not anyone can do it well. Okay? I believe that you need certain traits and characteristics to be a manager or supervisor. Okay? And in my course, I'm going to have a self questionnaire type thing where you're going to score yourself. So depending on where you fall on that scoring guideline, it's going to determine how much effort you're going to put into, developing yourself, into your self-development. And a few things we can talk about. Do I have what it takes? Am I a hard worker? Now, you might say, what kind of question is that? Well, yeah, because some of us are plain lazy, okay? And if you're somebody who wants to get up like 15 minutes before it's time, and you want to go to bed on time, you want to get 10 hours of sleep every night, and you're a procrastinator, and you want to just wing it, go by the seat of your pants, I wouldn't want to have you as a manager. Let's face it, okay? Because if you have somebody who's never prepared, they go into a meeting, they're winging it, they don't have their stuff in order, they don't take responsibility, they're always telling you to go ask this person, go ask that person, oh, I have too much to do, I can deal with this right now. You're going to make people's life miserable, and they're going to hate you, they're going to resent you, and you don't want that. You don't want to be in that position. So do you have what it takes? Are you a hard worker? Are you responsible? Do you take responsibility for what it is that you are responsible for? Or are you a buck passer? I just made that up. Do you like to pass the buck? Because, when you are in a position of authority, of management, I always say the buck stops here. So you can't pass it on to somebody else. You are accountable, you're responsible. So are you that person? Do you have that sense that this is my responsibility, therefore I need to take care of it? That's important. Another thing, are you a multitasker? There are some people who are focused on one task and one task at hand. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. We are all wired differently. But are you a person who has to complete a task before you move to the next? You're going to be challenged if that's you. Because being a manager means You are just juggling multiple balls at the same time. You know, you have the doctor on the phone, you have your nurse who's having a crisis over here, you have a family member who's waiting to talk to you, then they call you, say the toilet is plugged up, and you know the state walked in. How do you handle that? Okay? And I'm not making it up. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen every day, but it does happen. And how you handle is another one. How do you handle emergencies? The unforeseen, things that you don't expect to happen. Okay? If they call you at about, maybe not call you, but it's about 7 o'clock at night and the toilet is plugged and maintenance is not there, what do? Are you that manager who's going to roll up her sleeves, get the plunger, and go in there and unplug that toilet? I mean, if you're uppity and things like that gross you out, you're going to have a problem. You're going to be challenged. Okay? Well, now you could say, oh, you go do it. And you're within your right to do that. But you know, a manager who's going to gain the respect of her team, of her staff, is going to roll her sleeves and go in there and do it. And by the time you do, since you've done that, your team, your peers, when it happens again, they don't have any problem doing it. Okay? So know thyself. Do you multitask? Are you able to prioritize? Do you know what's important? When you go into your office and you open your email and you see 55 emails, okay? Do you go through every single one of them? Or can you pick out the ones that I must address today and then later on, towards the end of the day, I can deal with the rest of it? You have to be able to have that mindset where you can sift through and pick what's important. Are you able to meet deadlines? Your boss calls you at 8:30 and said, I'm going to have a meeting at 10 o'clock and I need this report, blah, 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 in 30 minutes. Do you just go nuts and say, oh my God, I can't believe she did that. That's not my responsibility. One thing about being a supervisor and manager, one of your job, and I know people may not like that, is to make your boss look good by doing your job because she's delegating it to you. Okay. Now there are certain things, you know, the art of delegation, it is an art. There are certain tasks, certain things you can delegate to somebody else to help you with your time management. But at the end of the day, the responsibility for completing that report is yours. So it's up to you who you delegate it to. So that's another point. Are you a delegator? Can you delegate? There are some people who feel like, oh, if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. You're going to burn yourself out. So being able to delegate is such a skill. You have to be able to, you know who you can delegate to and who's going to be responsible. Because you know your team. You know their strengths and weaknesses, just like they're going to learn yours. Okay? Time management. Are you going to be on that unit every single night till 10 p.m.? You know, I mean, in the beginning, you can do that. Sometimes you can do that. But it cannot be every single day. If somebody sees that, they're going to say, oh, I don't think she's going to make it. You're going to burn yourself out. What else? I mean, there's so many of them. So I would, on my list, I'm going to have like 10 to 15, no more than that. Because we're going to have to be able to score yourself and say, we have a lot of work to do here. Oh, it's not bad, okay? So make sure you have the conversation with yourself. Ask yourself, am I cut up for this? Am I cut up to do this? Can you handle criticism when your manager comes to you and wants to talk to you about something you did or you didn't do? How do you respond and still keep your job? Very important, right? So I want you to start thinking about those things as we move, through the different points. This is point number one, step number one. Know thyself, self-evaluation. Why are you doing this? Do you have what it takes? Okay? So I'm so happy I was able to do this because I'm not in the car today, but I'll see you next time. Au revoir. À la prochaine.